till the day I retire. I'll be funky like a monkey when he perspires. Fucking not fucking, tippity do with the a 1, 2, same mind, same attitude, more flavor than Chinese food. Content is so potent that you will say that I'm so magnificent. I've been rocking for a couple of years, never ever drank or never smoked beer. Keeping it real, just keeping it coming in. So I won't be woman, I'm not like he used to do. I'm like he still is. That's why nobody beats the biz. Brutus Bowen, top shelf studio, guaranteed to give you what you're supposed to know. This is 88, and this is how we create. Guaranteed to rock and never be late. Cool Faith is in the house, and we keeping it. We out this side of North. Like, yeah.
Now everybody sing. Now we're the stars of stage, wax, and video. We're here to tear it up. So come on, here we go. Hold it up. This is high powered stuff. Kid play, can't get enough of that funky go rhythm. You wanted a dope
ass out the way, man.
Now everybody say.
Time for another culture joint. Hit 'em. One nation under a groove. You know what I mean? Funkadelic, baby.
Morning. March 5th, 2019. It's a Tuesday, partly cloudy, with a 100% chance of chemtrails and a 90% chance that they destroyed any chance of rain for the day. Forecast is showing a little bit of rain later on today. It was supposed to rain tomorrow and the day after, but now it's showing that it's not. So apparently they're done with it raining out here. So, or they finally figured out how to stunt El Nino, and El Nino's tapering off anyway. So it is what it is. We'll see. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about the fact that with all of these legislators and politicians, there are, how there are sanctuary cities in California for or in other states for illegal aliens, illegal immigrants. Well, certain counties are providing sanctuary for people who enjoy the Second Amendment, people who want to protect the Second Amendment, people who want to protect their own rights. Regular law-abiding citizens who have done nothing wrong, who are now being persecuted due to political pandering and people coming after our rights. So there are certain counties, especially in New Mexico in particular, there are like 20-some counties out of 30-something that have declared themselves sanctuary cities or sanctuary counties, and they will not be enforcing any regulations that impose upon our Second Amendment rights. And then I believe there are counties in Nevada that are considering the same type of deal. So, in Nevada, the Second Amendment, it's not too bad. They have some retarded laws, and they also, but they can open carry and all that. But I think you need a license or a permit to conceal carry. I've been to Nevada, and I've seen people walking around with their pistols on their hips. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? They also do that in parts of Texas. But no one goes around on murder sprees because of this. You know what I'm saying? If anything, it deters any crime that may have occurred, or any crime that may have occurred to them. Like, let's say somebody was thinking about robbing somebody and they see people walking around with pistols on their hips. It's a preventative measure. You know what I'm saying? But they have encroached upon the Second Amendment in Nevada to some degree. But there are, like I said, counties that are considering, multiple rural counties in Nevada that are considering just providing sanctuary for people who want their Second Amendment rights protected. This in particular was good news for me because I am considering moving to a state like Nevada, simply because, and that's like I was saying, in Nevada, the cost of living is much lower than in LA, but at the same time, a union electrician out there in Las Vegas in particular makes more money than a union electrician out here. All right, so let's say for the day shift makes I think it's 46 an hour. Well, in Nevada, they make like 47 because the union is strong out there and they make sure their guys get paid. So I know I can go out there, buy a house. I can get a 3 to 5 bedroom house in Nevada for like $250,000, $300,000 depending on the square footage. And I would have to pay twice that much for a house of that size in LA. And they have less restrictive gun laws. So, you know, it is what it is. This is the deal. We have to consider, as people who, let's say, are aware or woke, ourselves from cities that do things like cities or states that do things like make vaccinations mandatory to go to school and don't give you a religious exemption, encroach upon your Second Amendment rights, where the cost of living is ridiculously high for no goddamn reason. We must consider moving to somewhere where we can live without worry about all that shit. And also, we must consider moving somewhere where we can buy our own land. You know, buy your own land and somewhere where you can get some nice fertile soil to grow food and to raise food. You know, to raise livestock, things like that. We must make strategic moves to ensure our future, ensure the children, the future of our children is you know, because right now there is nothing that I see that this government is doing that is giving me peace of mind when it comes to my children's future. Not at all. So, you know, it's like there are certain choices we have to make. And it's very important that we are able to protect ourselves by any means necessary. You know, when they talk about the first 10 amendments in the Constitution, those are the Bill of Rights, which are considered, right? They're considered natural rights. You know, God-given rights. So it's not really, the Constitution does not give you the right to keep and bear arms. It's recognizing that you have that natural right, that no one should step or infringe on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have the right. Those are rights that can't be given to you. The right to privacy, that's not something, it's not a privilege. You know, the government shouldn't dictate whether or not you have the right to privacy. But what it's doing in that Bill of Rights is recognizing that you have that right. Period. And there are certain instances, you don't want serial killers running around collecting people in their basement and shit, right? But at the same time, you have to bring about suspicion. You have to suspect that individual is doing something, and you have to have solid proof before you start going off into their shit. Okay? The right to speak. The right to free speech. That's not a right that the government should not be able to give you. I mean, that's not a right that the government has any say on whether you have or not. That is a natural right that the First Amendment of the Constitution recognizes as a natural right that you possess. It's not something that we're going to give you the right to free speech. No, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. The freedom of religion, to protect the freedom of to practice any religion that you choose. That those are things that are should not be given to you by anybody. Those are things that you already have. You're born with those rights. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's just what it is. So what these counties are doing are providing sanctuary for people to exercise their natural rights. It's not a natural right necessarily to be able to own a gun, right? The right is but but you know what, it is a right. If you can afford it, right? If you can afford that gun, as long as you didn't steal it, if you can afford it, then that's your right. It's your right to be able to buy it and keep it in your house. Or you can fashion a bow and arrow, like a knife, hatchet, whatever you want, whatever arm you want. You have you can do that. That's your right. It's not up to the government to say, oh yeah, you have this right. But it is up to them to recognize that it's a right that they have to protect. And that's what the Bill of Rights is supposed to be. The rights of the people. The natural rights of the people. That should go without saying, but they have to put it in there in order, for your natural rights to be protected. Now, just because it's your natural right doesn't mean that they're just going to allow you to exercise them. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's your natural right, and they have no right to dictate whether you can exercise it or not. Doesn't mean that they have to. Doesn't mean that they have to protect it. They can do what they're doing right now. They're making laws to infringe on all your rights, not just the Second Amendment. They have they're infringing on the First Amendment. They're infringing on the Fourth Amendment. You know what I'm saying? The right to privacy and the right to free speech. They're infringing on all those, and we're allowing it. But I tell you something. If we lose our Second Amendment rights, every other right goes along with it. And that is exactly what they're working on right now. That's what they're working on in Congress right now. They just passed 2 bills that infringe upon the Second Amendment. Now, in order for it to actually be enforceable, It has to go through Senate, and then the president has to decide whether or not to sign it into law or veto it. Now, it shouldn't even make it through the Senate because it's a Republican-controlled Senate, and they operate under the auspices of, you know, being pro-Second Amendment. So since they stand upon that, you know, since that's part of their foundation, it's not going to pass through the Senate. But what's going to happen is the next election, if the Republicans lose control of the Senate and the Congress stays Democrat, then, you know, they're going to push it through again. Let's say Trump wins presidency again. Okay, so what's going to happen is the bill is going to go. These bills are going to reach Trump's desk, and he should veto it. Okay, but the issue with that, if he vetoes it, then the Congress and the Senate can vote to override that veto. So we'll see. We'll see. But it shouldn't. We'll see what happens, man. These are necessarily horrible bills, right? I think one of them makes you got to do a background check, universal background check, and then another one gives you like a 20-day waiting period, where if you buy your firearm, you have to wait 20 days to pick it up after they go through an extensive background check. A background check that they can do in 10 minutes. They do it all the time in Nevada. Nevada, you have to pass background checks, but you do it on the phone. They do it on the phone, and they find out within 10 minutes. It doesn't take. What they gonna do? Go to your house, neighbors, and like, what is it like getting a job for the government, where they go to your house and they they call your neighbors or they call your family members to see if you're a good person or not. You know, they're doing too much. So we don't know exactly what's in these bills. If they pass, then that might very well happen. They might go to your job and see how you behave. Oh, do you think he should, if he owns a firearm, he's gonna go ape shit crazy and all the other shit? I mean, they might go to your YouTube page. If you're a YouTuber, if you're a big YouTuber, then they might go to your YouTube page and see what kind of, how you roll, and oh, this guy's a danger to society because he questions the government and all that other shit. Or they go to your Facebook page and see what you got going there. If you speak out against the government in any form or fashion, or if you criticize the government in any form or fashion, they might be like, oh shit, nah, you ain't getting Nathan. So now we're talking about someone who didn't commit a crime, right? If you question the government, or if you doubt the government, or if you in any way, form, or fashion say, you know what, I don't think that our government is being very honest right now about certain shit. Or if you're saying, oh, you know, I think they're performing weather modification, and they're trying to kill us slowly. If you say anything like that, they might consider you a threat to national security. You don't even have to commit a crime. You ain't had to do shit. And then they'll say, oh, due to your rhetoric on YouTube, due to your rhetoric on Facebook, we're not going to allow you to get a gun because we feel like you might be a danger to yourself. Then you have to get a lawyer. Then you got to sue them, because guess what? That's exactly what's going to happen. And then it's going to go to the Supreme Court. See, this thing is going to happen. That's what I'm worried about with that background check. What kind of guy, and not only the background check, you know. What's up, D? So I'm just talking about the Second Amendment. So it's like, what is this background check during this 20 days going to involve? Why do they need a 20-day period? Well, I could tell you in California, you get a 10-day waiting period before you can pick up your firearm. And, oh, all right. Thanks, D, man. So in California, they give you a 10-day period. They call it a cooling off period. So they're acknowledging that it doesn't really take 10 days to pass a background check, but supposedly they do the cooling off period in case you're buying a gun to, like, say somebody pissed you off and you want to get a gun to kill them, right? So you buy a gun. Well, they give you a 10-day waiting period to cool off and think about what you're doing, and calm yourself down. You know, if you don't get the gun right away while you hot and bothered and you want to retaliate or something, you know what I'm saying, then, you know, you have 10 days to think about what you're doing as you're going through the background process. It kind of makes sense a little bit. Look, I don't have a problem waiting 10 days, okay? Especially after you get your first few firearms. That 10-day waiting period is not necessarily something that'll drive you up the wall. I mean, you know, it's just something that, hey, you know, I have to wait a little bit. But the issue is with this 20-day waiting period and what the Congress is trying to push through. I don't know what this background check is going to involve. Like I said, it can involve them being all up in your social media, being all up in your YouTube channel. You got a YouTube channel. You don't know what they're going to do. They're going to check your history. You might have said FUB, you know, to somebody in on your Facebook, you know, when you have a little argument. You know, you got little arguments on Facebook, and, you know, somebody say some dumb shit or some racist shit, and you say suck a dick. They might see something like that in your Facebook history and say, oh, this guy's a violent individual. You know, they already have these red flag laws popping up everywhere. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. The red flag law is a law where anybody that you deal with on a daily basis, your co-worker, your school teacher of your kids, your college professor, the waiter at the restaurant you frequent, you know what I'm saying? Anybody like that can declare to the popo that you are violent, or you threaten them, or, you know, they feel like you're a danger to society, and they can come take your shit, and then you got to go through a process to get it back. Now, we know that's bullshit, right? That is a blatant infringement on the Second Amendment. You don't even get due process. Some random motherfucker at work can say, yeah, good luck getting at me with that shit. That's what's up, Derek. So, yeah, so these red flag laws, it's just a straight up infringement. Confirmed, the homeschool children in Iowa will be forced vaccinated at gunpoint. See, this is why the Second Amendment is there in the first place. Oh, good looking, Derek. Yeah, man. You know, it took a minute, but, you know, I've only been on here for a few months. I know it takes a while to build up steam on YouTube. I know it takes a lot. You know, I'm just trying to reach the people, a little bit of information at a time. So in Iowa, they're going to force people at gunpoint to vaccinate their children, huh? All right, I got to look into that. Since That's bullshit. So now they're gonna have to have sanctuary counties in Iowa to protect children for vaccinations. Wow. Well, you know, who was talking about that? I mean, that's bullshit, man. See, that they're gunning for our children so hard that they're going to force us to vaccinate our children at gunpoint. They're going after the medical records to see if those teaching are complaints. Huh? Yeah, see, you know, that's that double dog bullshit right there. Model States Health Emergency Powers Act. Model States Health Emergency Powers Act. Is that when that has to do with being able to vaccinate children at gunpoint if their kids don't go to school? See, that's that bullshit. And you know what? We're gonna allow it. We ain't gonna do shit. We just gonna sit there and say, oh well, they should have got their children vaccinated. People are so stupid. If they have to force homeschooled kids, to get vaccinated, then you know that there are some nefarious things going on with these vaccinations. Because these homeschool kids are not coming into contact with school kids that like that. So it shouldn't be an issue, right? As a matter of fact, if your child is vaccinated, then my vaccinated child, right? If your child is vaccinated, my vaccinated child shouldn't be a threat to your vaccinated kid, right? Or my unvaccinated kid should not be a threat to your vaccinated kid, right? Because you're vaccinated, you're protected, right? If the vaccines work, then when you get vaccinated, you shouldn't have to worry about unvaccinated children getting you vaccinated, getting you sick, right? No. But what really happens is vaccinated children get sick all the time, okay? And they're actually a threat to unvaccinated kids, because a lot of my nieces and nephews and little cousins who get vaccinated, they get sick all the time, and when they get around my kids, they pass on the sickness to my kids, and I have to throw a lot of shit at my children to nip it in the bud, and it gets nipped. I'm just saying. It's because their cousins were sick with their vaccinated asses, and they came into contact with my unvaccinated children, and I had to give them flu fighter, I had to give them ginger, I had to give them miso soup and all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Bees bread, all that. So really, your vaccinated child is a threat to my unvaccinated children. That's how that works. As a matter of fact, one of the 5 new vaccines that they implemented are a vaccine against a disease that the MMR vaccine has created. From what I understand, I gotta look more into that. But Iowa bugging. There's gonna be some problems. But I can guarantee you, in Iowa they have, they have most of their gun rights. Good luck going to them rural white people's houses with guns trying to eject their kids. Good luck. Good luck with that. That's one way to start a civil war right there. Good luck with that. They don't play. They don't play. Anyway. No one talks about this angle. If you're vaccinated, what is there to fear from it's not, you know, because people are stupid. These parents are dumb. Don't worry about my kid. If your kid's vaccinated, then they're protected. You shouldn't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Never mind that the majority of the kids who were got the measles out, were part of the measles outbreak in Disneyland. Never mind that most of them were vaccinated with the MMR. Never mind that, right? And most of those who weren't vaccinated were adults who didn't need to get and kids that were too sick to get vaccinated. You know, they weren't able to get it. Very few were just unvaccinated just because. So and then not only that, but the measles, some of the unvaccinated children that was part of that Disneyland outbreak had the strain of the measles that the MMR was supposed to, that the MMR used. So it was a vaccine virus that was created to be part of the vaccine. That strain was found in some of the unvaccinated children that caught the measles. You heard me? So, come on now. Come on. We got to use our brains, people. Come on, folkers. We got to use our brains. Anyway, I'm going to holler at y'all later. I'm going to get on the vaccine stuff for the weekend. I'm going to get some information. I'm probably going to show some videos of doctors talking about vaccines and all that stuff and talking about what's in them. Talk about all that. Yeah, so it is what it is. Anyway, I'm going to holler at y'all later. Share, like, boom. All right, subscribe if you ain't subscribed yet. And yeah, we're going to keep this information cracking. We're gonna get it going. And